Gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to be here. My name is Matthew Jones, and I'm very lucky to be the conductor of this very fine youth orchestra that is before us. Back at the Waterloo Youth Orchestra, we actually have 4 tiers of orchestra. This is the second. Oh, thank you. This is the second of our tier of 4. We have the very young orchestra, the preludiums, that are just sort of starting out. These are the junior strings. The intermediate Symphonia Orchestra exists above these guys, which are going to graduate into one of these days. Very soon, I think, as you will hear. And then the Senior Youth Orchestra, which is high school level and university. I'm lucky enough to also conduct that orchestra as well, actually, so I get lots of practice every week conducting for sure. I will tell you that celebrating the Lantern Festival is wonderful and a great opportunity for us. Music has always been a great light in my life, and it's a great treat to share that light with my young friends here, and today they get to share their delight with you. So let's get started with Cripple Creek. Awesome. I think that was probably the first tune that we started this year, and we obviously used the music to teach new skills to our players. That one, right out of the gate, you can hear the nice ensemble and playing together, and that is, of course, of critical importance in any orchestra, so it was a wonderful start. The next piece on our program is Sarabande and Curelet. These are both dances that you would all have known the steps to if you had lived in Europe at the time of Bach and Vivaldi and earlier. So these are Baroque dances. This one's a little tricky. You might think that playing slowly is easier, and in some ways it is, but in other ways it's harder. So here we start with a slow sarabande, and then we move into a more quick Curelet. You'll also hear actually that this music now is starting to already get a little bit more complex. So the challenge is for the players to learn their parts and to understand exactly where their music and how their part fits in. Really important. Yeah, I mean, clearly a more challenging piece. The first piece, a lot of the same rhythms exist in the same parts at the same time. We call that rhythmic unison. But in this piece, if you are listening carefully, you would hear that each part has very distinct moments and very distinct rhythms, so it's a lot harder to put together. So for an orchestra that's just starting out and just learning these ensemble skills, a tricky piece. So I was proud of that. That went very well. That was great. Okay. Who doesn't like Mozart? I mean, nobody. So here we go. We've got a dance, another selection of dances, this time by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And what a treat to talk about the different composers, talk about how they influence the story of music differently. And of course, Mozart really doesn't need much of an introduction. He was a very talented individual and was probably writing music already at the age of these youngsters in my orchestra. And by the time he was my age, he had already passed away. So, all that wonderful wealth of knowledge, music, and symphonies all happened within less than my own lifetime. Amazing when you think about it. Okay, here's some Mozart. I haven't written any symphonies. Wow, I mean, there's a lot of notes in that set of dances, for sure. So a lot of great learning and a lot of great hard work. We are celebrating all of these wonderful pieces once again at our final concert of the year, where we feature all of those orchestras I spoke about at the beginning, all 4 tiers at the end of April. So keep your eye out for that concert and come and join us. It's always a lot of fun. You'll get to meet all of our musicians in addition to the junior string orchestra here. And by the way, if any of you have any young budding musicians in your households that might be interested in learning to play in an orchestra, please give us a call. We'd love to help you out, for sure. Always looking for the next generation of young musicians to fuel the arts and culture in our wonderful community here. We move on. A piece called Raindrops.